smashing through the lies, destroying narratives, and breaking through the mainstream media programming. This is tomorrow's America. Hello, everyone. Sorry about the technical difficulty. Hello, and welcome to Tomorrow's America. My name is William Donahue. Today I'm going to be breaking down another bunch of stuff that I found in the Epstein documents. Pretty damning evidence. We're talking about heads of countries, high-level people in countries resigning, losing their jobs. We're talking about disgusting things, including children, which doesn't get too graphic, but it's pretty disgusting. We're talking about some of your iconic Hollywood actors and a whole lot more. So before I get into all that, please like and share this video. Leave a comment below on anything that we talk about today or any stuff that maybe you found that maybe we didn't cover. And also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel because that really helps us out with getting the word out about our channel. So I want to go into this Epstein file, but before I do, I wanted to talk about what is potentially true and what is potentially not true. So this is the Department of Justice website. You have to go to DOJ disclosures and go to the Epstein library. Hit yes, you are 18 years or older. And once you do that, you could go down Epstein Files Transparency Act. And you could go to the files. And the way that they did it is pretty messed up because if I click on one PDF, so you get one picture, there's no arrow or anything, then you'd have to go back and click on the next one to see what the next one is. And it's pretty slow going. So that is the Department of Justice's officially released Epstein files is on this website. Now, somebody sent me this, jmail.com, and so if you go down, it's supposedly the Epstein email list, supposedly, and it looks pretty good. I don't know, victims, it's talking about all this kind of stuff. But some of the problems with it that I've found is that it says the DOJ is going to drop 1 million files. They already dropped 3.5 million files, or that's what the release is. So just off that, it doesn't really make sense. And then another aspect of this is that on their website, they say that they're a parody website for legal reasons. So realistically, I'm not too sure what is up with this file release or with this website. If I had to recommend things to people, I would say just go and look at it on the DOJ website. Or if you do want to use a tool like this, because it makes it easy to look through, but definitely double verify everything that that it's part of the actual file release. A lot of these photos are real photos, and pretty interesting stuff you can find on here. I'm not sure, like I said again, how true it is. Here they are in military uniforms. I mean, there's a lot of interesting things on here. Something that did catch my eye was they had a painting of a picture of a little girl on the wall, and her face was blacked out. She looked like she had to have been 2 years old. And it said that they were only going to redact things to protect the victims. So maybe this baby was a victim on the wall, but definitely some interesting things in the files. But the point of this, showing you this website, is just to say be careful with what you're looking at, because I can't guarantee or deny that this website's real. But if you trust something like this, definitely back it up by going on to the DOJ website and just making sure that it's even on there. We're in the age of AI, which makes things very tricky to deal with nowadays. So I'm just gonna pull up our first article here. So I think we could start off today with these two emails that were part of the file, and both of them are Epstein basically essentially talking on behalf of the Rothschild family. If you guys don't know, the Rothschild family is a family of central bankers who own a lot of the major countries in the world's economies, or a lot of their banking, treasury departments. Essentially, they'll tell you that the Federal Reserve is not, that it's not privately owned, or it's partially privately owned, but that is up for debate, I guess. I don't think that that's necessarily true. So go to this first here. This is an email from Jeffrey Epstein saying, "As you know, I represent the Rothschilds. I was hoping to figure out a way for the bank that has 160 B in management can do something in tech. Best client in the world." So he's asking Peter Thiel how the Rothschild family could get involved in tech. Again, Rothschild. Sorry about the echo. On behalf of the, oh, here we go. So this is basically saying Jeffrey Epstein had a contract with the Rothschilds for $25 million. And here it is, the Rothschilds. Fees and expenses. In condition for work, the Rothschild Group shall pay the following. For specifically relating to outstanding matters between Edmund D. Rothschild Holding and the United States, $25 million. Payment shall be made by the Rothschild Group no later than 3 days after EDRH makes payment to the U.S. So that is just the way that I'm going to kick off this show, because it really is. Not only is it the Rothschilds, they're talking about Al Qaeda being run by Mossad, and letting the Greek financial crisis, making it up whole cloth. They're talking about how it's easier to let Britain fall into chaos than it would be to fix it. So there's a lot to get into with this, but I'm going to start off with some like low-hanging fruit, basically, some of the less important things, because this is George Clooney here. This is just easing us into it, just dipping our toe in the water. In 2014, Epstein mentioned visiting Clooney in Copenhagen, writing, "Now I know Copenhagen has interesting girls." Clooney's name comes up more than once across the files, and I'm going to put the email on the screen. Not too much to see here. Interesting girls could mean anything, but sorry. Interesting girls could mean anything, but just dealing with Epstein in general is a gross thing to do. In 2010, this was after he had been charged once with the sex trafficking, I believe in 2009 in Palm Beach. So, uh, obviously, that is just low hanging fruit. George Clooney talking to Epstein. I have some articles here. You know what? I guess I could. Here we go. So this next article, or this next, I guess they're all mostly just X posts, but this next post is. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my screen here. There we go. This next post. Bill Clinton, Chris Tucker, Kevin Spacey flew to African countries to scout girls while Clinton gave speeches on HIV research. So they were giving a speech on HIV research that Johns Hopkins was doing. Bill Clinton, obviously, we know that he's all over the Epstein files with little girls and in pictures with underage women. So sorry, my internet's being slow today, and I had all these pulled up where I could just go through them quick, but so let's talk about some of the world leaders that have fallen because of this. We know that Prince Andrew, he's been stripped of his royal title. Same with Prince Charles because of the Epstein files. Lord Peter Mandelson of the UK, in his membership to the Labour Party, in documents connected to Epstein's alleged that the former New Labour cabinet minister received payments totaling $75,000. Mandelson said he stepped down to avoid causing further embarrassment. I can't even pronounce this name, but the Prime Minister Robert Fico's national security advisor, so this is Slovakia, and his name is Miroslav Lajak, maybe, resigned after the files revealed emails exchanged with Epstein discussing young women. In Norway, Crown Prince Mette Marit became embroiled in controversy after newly unsealed files reportedly revealed years of extensive contact with Epstein. So he apologized for Mette Marit apologizes for what she describes as poor judgment. So those are just some of the heads of state that have fallen because of the Epstein files. Obviously, that's all overseas stuff, nothing in the U.S., and it doesn't seem like the U.S. is going to hold anybody accountable. So they're trying, as far as I've seen, they're trying to brush this off, or, they give Bill Gates a platform to say, yeah, I shouldn't have hung out with him. I should have took Melinda's advice, blah, blah, blah. But we all know Bill Gates is a creepy human being. So I want to play this video for you. This is from 2009. This is maybe having not to do with Epstein, or maybe this is in relation to Epstein. But this supermodel, her name is Gabrielle Rico Jimenez. She was exposing the things that are allegedly in the Epstein files, in the emails. And she came out after going to this high-level party with elites, and she came out and freaked out on camera, saying that they eat humans, they're cannibals, all this stuff. Well, she went missing after this video, never to be seen again. This is a supermodel. Does anyone know who Gabrielle Rico Jimenez is? Was she on the cover of any magazines recently? No, because she said this and disappeared forever. So I'm going to play that clip for you. So apparently, within the circles of apparently within the circles of famous people, she said, "I knew about the murders, yes, but they eat people, and then starts flipping out." Apparently, murder is well accepted within high level elite parties, but uh, I guess you have to get to the higher levels to start finding out about their real intentions. So this article here, or this here, just kind of lays out some of what they were doing on the island. Obviously, we all can guess what was going on, but here is so they use code words, and the FBI has put out these code words when they're doing pedophile hunting. They say that the official word for like an underage girl is a piece of pizza or whatever. Um, these emails, it's really blurry to see. This is some of the artwork with John Podesta. This is the FBI saying that hot dogs are boys, pizza is girls, cheese is little girl, pasta is little boy, ice cream, male prostitute, walnut, a person of color. Yeah. So it says when they ask you what radicalized you, inform them that the term pizza was mentioned 911 times in the new Epstein file dump. FBI code word for girl, most often used next to the term slice. So they actually said, I have one slice of pizza. Let me know how many people are coming so I know how thinly to slice it. Pretty disgusting if the emails are referring to what this code word means. But does anyone invite people over for pizza and have one slice? Like real pizza, obviously. Does anyone invite people over for pizza and have one slice and cut it up into little slivers for people? Or do we just think that it's safe to assume that this code word is referring to what we think it is? And this is all in the emails, and I don't understand how these emails, go out and there's nobody being held to account. They've had plenty of time to put this all together and be careful about, finding out who the clients are, making sure that they have cases against them, redacting the names of the victims, do all that, close it all up, and then release the files at the same time as all the arrests so that it flows smoothly and the American people can be satisfied by the release of these documents, which is not going to be the case because Jay-Z left the country, apparently. They're giving Bill Gates time to go out and do interviews. All this is going on while the names and the first name, last name, and the address of a victim, of multiple victims, is on, what do they call it, 203 or whatever, on FBI evidence reports that are in the Epstein file release, and the names of the victims are unredacted on there. but they redact the name of some business owner who says, "I give you permission to kill." I'll show you that email in a little bit. And they didn't even redact it right. It's slightly lifted up where you could read the lady's name. But they tried to redact that lady who ordered, apparently, supposedly, somebody to be killed, but they put the name, first name, last name, and address of a victim out there for people to find out who she was and ruin her life. So sorry about that little rant, but that they're not handling it right. It's actually disgusting, and there's tons of problems with the DOJ right now. They're doing fake news releases, like giving official sourced releases, leaks to news agencies that are completely false, like saying that Ed Martin is going to leave the DOJ. Not true, but this is another example of FBI code words that they use. This was a email back during the Obama administration. When we begin the pizza arrangement, I thought we were going to be more careful than this. Operating from the White House is not what I originally had in mind. Remember that the hot dogs can come, but if you want to make a spectacle out of it, that will be our downfall. Please know that I am speaking as a friend. You are the president and can do as you like, but I have to say I think it would be wiser to restrict this activity to our predetermined locations. Let me know what everyone thinks. We can vote on it if you'd like. Thanks, Hillary. Well, I guess that is the true meaning of democracy. Let's vote on where we can secretly bring the hot dogs and the pizza, because the White House, is somewhere that might not be viewed as acceptable. I think that pizza and hot dogs would be viewed as acceptable. They have pizza and hot dogs at the park all the time. You could eat pizza in public in front of the police. I'm not sure what they're referring to here. Supposedly, they're referring to pizza and hot dogs, but you can draw the conclusion yourself based on the last X post that I showed you, where the FBI says that hot dogs are little boys, pizza is little girls. So, and this is with John Podesta, Ben Affleck, Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, and Hillary, I'm assuming Hillary Clinton, this email is. What do you think about that? These are the people who literally run the world. And Ben Affleck, who doesn't run anything, but apparently likes pizza. So, just gotta find out my little order of doing things here because I kind of lost track of everything. Well, I guess we could go into this. So, why would Epstein get away with doing all this? Why would he get away with this? This article, or this right here, I'll show you this. This says that Epstein might have had some CIA connections. So, guess you can't zoom in. On the 25th of July, 2011, the Office of Information and Privacy Coordination received your letter dated 19 July 2011, providing additional information pertaining to your client, Jeffrey Epstein's Privacy Act request referenced above. Since you have provided the necessary information, we processed Mr. Epstein's request in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act and Privacy Act. We searched for CIA-originated responsive records that might reflect an open or otherwise acknowledged agency affiliation existing from November 5th, 1999, the date of our previous acceptance letter, till 25th of July 2011, the date we accepted Mr. Epstein's current request. We are unable to locate any information on our records. Records that would reveal classified connection to the CIA in accordance with Section 3 of Executive Order 1352 526 as amended. The CIA can neither confirm nor deny the existence or non-existence of records responsive to your request. The fact that existence or non-existence of records is currently and properly classified. So basically, the CIA, you'd think that they would just say he's not with us if they wanted to say that he wasn't with them, but they can't confirm or deny whether he was involved with the CIA. So there's a lot more that I have for you guys here. So just hope that you're along for the ride. Let's see. Here we go. Here's Hillary and Bill Clinton. They were subpoenaed to go in and give depositions on the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. They're going to go into Congress and speak about their involvement with Epstein, and they didn't show up to their deposition. Well, they were going to be held in contempt of Congress, and it's this article. This is from CNN, who's usually a left-leaning organization. They say, Clintons agree to in-person depositions in the 11th hour offer to avoid contempt vote in Jeffrey Epstein investigation. So they were literally going to skip their deposition, but once Congress threatened them with being held in contempt, they decided that they would go and give their depositions, which obviously, if they have trials for these people and they start pleading the fifth and skipping depositions and all that, if somebody brought me in and asked me, hey, we want to ask you questions about the cocaine dealer, big time cocaine dealer down in Buffalo here, say, okay. And I'd go in there and I'd say, I never talked to him. I never had anything to do with him. Never dealt with him. Never exchanged any money with him. Never saw him before in my life. Never been on his street. Never met any of his family. You could go through everything and say, no, I wasn't involved with this guy at all. To plead the fifth now and start skipping your depositions and saying that this violates whatever law you want to argue about, you're not getting to the point of it. The point of it is, it'd be easy if you weren't involved to just show up and tell people that you're not involved. So, not saying that you're not innocent until proven guilty, but this, in the court of public opinion, raises a lot of suspicions with a lot of people. Now, I'm bouncing all around. I do have two articles that are just out, or two emails from the Jeffrey Epstein email file dump that are just outright talking about child abuse. So this one here is a declassified Federal Bureau of Investigations letter, and it's talking about basically child abuse, and I don't know how much of it I can really read on YouTube, But essentially, here, I'll put it on the screen. Essentially, this is just outright talking about the level of child abuse that Epstein and his associates were involved in. Jeffrey Epstein holding a this is the magnifying glass. Jeffrey Epstein holding a magnifying glass with a claw and burning the victim. Martin described the video as being blurry. However, the male subject appeared to be a very large man with gray hair, wearing jeans, um, black shirt. So Epstein just burning a victim with a magnifying glass. And this is an email from Eddie Argon to blank and forward confidential Jeffrey Epstein. This is talking about this is sensitive. So it will be the first and the last email depending on your discretion. You can choose to take it to trash it, but this comes from a person that has been there and seen it all as a former staff at Zorro Ranch, which is another location that Jeffrey Epstein operated out of. They talk about the island. They barely talk about Palm Beach. They barely talk about his New York City mansion, and they rarely ever talk about Zorro Ranch. But just here is the footage of Jeffrey Epstein. Sex video with minor. Uh, threesomes, underage girl, girl from Bay Area, suicide attempt confession. Please arrange for 1 Bitcoin by 6 p.m. ETD today to the Bitcoin address, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know what they're exchanging Bitcoin. Oh, both died by strangulation during rough fetish sex. So 2 kids at Zorro Ranch died from strangulation during fetish sex is what I'm gathering from this email. And I don't know if you guys watched my coverage of the last time that I talked about the Epstein files, but essentially this should anger people. This should, I mean, when you hear about these things, the instinctive reaction as a man should be to want to get angry and defend your village and defend the people around you. So this is pretty disgusting stuff, and don't let this file dump desensitize you. All over Europe, all over the overseas, they are ousting politicians for what came out in the Epstein emails. So, don't feel like, we're defeated and nothing's going to happen from this. We have to stand up and make something happen from this. Make a lot of noise. Actually, in fact, the left wants to demonstrate about ICE and what's happening with the illegal immigrants and all that. That might be fine in a different time. The right wants to be all divided on who's holier than thou or whatever. But the Epstein files themselves, this data dump, is something that we can all unite over. Something that we should all go out and get it out there in any way possible. Jesus said that the body of Christ is made up of many members. Some people are the hand, and who's the hand to tell the foot that the foot's not part of the body because it's not a hand? Well, you could be the hand, or you could be the eyes, or you could be the feet, or you could be the mouth of the body of Christ, and use your what you've learned My people perish for lack of knowledge. Well, you can have knowledge and help people not to perish by providing that knowledge to other people by spreading this Jeffrey Epstein message. A lot of people say that religion and politics are separate, or you know uh, that I've been in a lot of arguments with a lot of people. The way that I interpret it is that if Jesus was here now, he would be calling this out and saying that this is evil and probably doing more about it. But you can act, and I think that you're supposed to act. Uh, you're you have to act. I can't think of what word I was trying to say. So I have a lot of stuff to show, but I don't think I'm going to get to it all. This here is a pretty big deal. So Epstein was on trial in Mexico, is what I gather from this, and the U.S. ambassador was down in Mexico dealing with this whole thing. This implicates a U.S. ambassador, the head of a SEAL Team 6 unit, or the head of SEAL Team 6 altogether, and basically the U.S. Embassy vans stalking our guys, Mexican assisting in Mexico to prosecute sex trafficking. The president of Mexico is keenly aware of our case against Marquino and other U.S. officials. This case we have here is more certainly connected to yours. We have proof. Our case will help bring a whole new dynamic to what you know and who is involved. Prince Philip is small fry compared to what we have uncovered. So essentially, the trial judge who had Epstein on trial apparently was killed, and it implicates all kinds of politicians. The president of Mexico is keenly aware of our case. You may want to question the ex-U.S. ambassador to Mexico, Mr. Earl Anthony Wayne, about his involvement with underage girl when he attended and was arrested by federal police. We believe that Marquinko and Epstein were involved in organizing this party, and it was held in Juarez, Mexico in 2014 at the U.S. consulate-controlled housing facility. Ask him how he knows Richard Marquinko. He was sentenced in Mexico in 2017 to a life sentence for impregnating an 11-year-old girl. Her son's DNA matches Wayne's 100%, but he is allowing an ex-U.S. Marine to stand in his place to serve the sentence in Mexico. This was an agreement worked out between the U.S. State Department and a judge in Mexico after a huge payoff. Huge payoff. So you're that well connected that you can get into the Mexican government, pay off a judge, and have somebody stand in prison for your crimes. Let's go to this real quick. Why is it that they're able to be so deeply embedded in everything? Is it because they literally know everybody? You know, this is Bill Gates. Forget who this is. Bill Clinton, Zoran Mandami, Jeffrey Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell. This is Zoran Mandami as a kid, a little kid, hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. So, I mean, draw your own conclusions, but I don't know what to make of that. Literally everybody and anybody in the world, Jeffrey Epstein had something to do with them. So here, I'll get into this. I wanna start to wrap up the show here because I am a little unorganized. I think I got to the point. I think I got to the point of most of what I wanted to say, but this is pretty good. So I have a couple more points to make, but essentially, this is the idea: is that there's massive influence all over the world of all different kinds. So he was a representative of the Rothschild. He's connected with all these celebrities, scouting African girls. He's allegedly providing little kids to different countries and pretty disgusting stuff. But here is an email with Tom Pritzker from Jeffrey Epstein, and they're talking about Al Qaeda, ISIS, all these terrorist organizations being involved with CIA, MI6, and Mossad. Epstein's email openly discusses ISIS, Al Qaeda, Nusra, and Hamas in the same breath as the US, Russia, and Turkey coups and regime change, not as enemies, but as tools. This supports my long-standing reality that these groups operate as Mossad, CIA, MI6 assets with Western power projection. So they're saying, yes, there's tradecraft name for this administration's approach, clusterfuck. When China began building bases in South China Sea, we ran freedom navigation cruises. This is a technical process that describes which of the ship's systems are on and which systems are off. This is a long email here. And then it says Nusra, ISIS, Al Qaeda, Juba, Hamas, the leaders all prefer Donald Wild. And then they know Hillary. Turkey gives Nusra a heads up on Iraqi recruits, slaughter. Russia gives Engoron a heads up on a coup. U.S. gives a pass on ISIS to Palmyra. Assad has no support, so they will stay. Nuclear base in Turkey, Soviet defense in Iran. Basically, just talking about all the world events and what's going to happen, and how they all play into each other, and there's no talk of the U.S. doesn't agree with this, or they're trying to fight to get ISIS out of this area. They're just talking about it like it's little pieces in the game of Risk that you could just move around and do whatever you want with. Here's I had another piece of the file showing that again, but I'm just gonna skip over it for the sake of time. This is Epstein talking about how Israel apparently owns or took over Bitcoin. Subject: Digital Currency Initiative. Use gift funds to underwrite this, which allowed us to move quickly and win this round. Thanks. And down on the bottom, they're saying that they're going to take control of the developers. We move quickly, taking all of the various stakeholders. And the 3 developers decided to join the Media Lab. This is a big win for us. Talking about how they took over Bitcoin, which I never trusted Bitcoin, because when Bitcoin goes down, or if Bitcoin ever did go down, Sorry about that. You would own something. You would own digital money with no value because you can't take it out of there. You don't physically hold it. You don't own anything. You just own a number on a computer. Here's one. So this is talking about how apparently the Greek debt crisis was fabricated to save German and French banks. I'm sure that some heads will roll from this revelation. According to economists who have been trying to investigate the details, about 90% of the payments to Greece actually go to German and French banks who made risky investments and all want to be paid off. So, in effect, the Greeks are paying the northern banks for debt that the people never incurred. These should be, I think, be considered odious debts and radically restructured or canceled. Interest to hear about bank. Wouldn't have expected it. A lot of these emails, like I said, this is all speculation. You know, there needs to be like deep dive investigations into each aspect of this. Each one of these emails has little clues and windows into the bigger things that happen in the world, but it's all tied in to this one guy, Epstein. Why is Epstein being asked to give the president or king or whatever of Denmark parenting advice, and then he's a sex trafficker, but then he's a financial guy, and the CIA can't say whether or not he's involved with them. Uh, he's all over the world. He's setting up Ehud Barak with a job at Peter Thiel's company. He's just doing all this, somehow as a regular guy. Uh, pretty interesting. Makes no sense to me because you got to be a pretty busy guy. Got to be pretty busy. And apparently he wasn't too busy to talk to Bill Gates about planning pandemic simulations in 2017. Oh, this is a video here. I'm going to play this video for you.
Now here we are. We didn't simulate this. We didn't practice.
On behalf of our partners in the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
So both the health policies and economic policies, we find ourselves in uncharted territory. Now here we are. We didn't simulate this. We didn't practice.
On behalf of our partners in the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
So both the health policies and economic policies, we find ourselves in uncharted territory. Now here we are. We didn't simulate this. We didn't practice.
On behalf of our partners.
We know that they practiced and simulated for the pandemic. If you guys haven't seen Event 201, it's all the corporations and all the business leaders and politicians signing on to a script of how they're going to go about handling the whatever, I forget, it was a bat virus, maybe a bat coronavirus even, that they planned a simulation for how to react to it. And then we know COVID is SARS-CoV-2. They also had another simulation called SPARS, which was, another virus that they planned out. And it's interesting. Go look into those documents. Like I said at the beginning of the show, look into these documents. Do a little research yourself because, human intelligence is better than AI. Okay, you could use AI as a search tool and have it go through things, but code words like pizza and hot dogs and all these little um, uh, code words, I guess, innuendos for different things. All this stuff. Maybe you'll go in there and read through the files and find a pattern of some sort. It's going to take tons of eyes on this document to figure everything out about it and find out what we can assume as criminal activity, or who's innocent. Maybe you'll find something that exonerates Bill Gates from any criminality with this. I doubt that you will, but it's going to take a lot of people going through it, and a lot of people are. But there's also been a lot of fake stuff, and they could very easily inject something fake, just like they did with the Pizzagate scandal. The whole thing was blowing out of proportion. No one could figure out how to handle Pizzagate. And then some guy went into a DC pizza place and shot the hard drive of the computer and destroyed the entire evidence that would have after that. You were a crazy conspiracy theorist, and you were inciting violence, like what happened at the pizza place and all that stuff. So don't let them turn this into another discredited thing. Why did Seth Rich die? Why did Seth Rich die? For the WikiLeaks exposure that he put out there, that implicated Hillary Clinton, and so did the Pizzagate thing implicated Hillary Clinton. Now this is implicating Hillary Clinton, allegedly. All that's allegedly. Everything I said in this show is allegedly, just so that nobody can try and sue me or whatever. But I mean, using your critical thought, why is it that every time something like this happens, there's a big major thing that comes out, and you can't talk about it anymore, or else you're with the guy who did the shooting at the thing or whatever. Also, what's come out with these documents, and I don't have the document pulled up, but it exposes the name of the prison guard who went on 4chan or WikiLeaks, one of the two, and said that Jeffrey Epstein was moved out of his cell in unapproved transport van pulled up, and that he thinks that they swapped out Epstein the night before his murder, or before his suicide or whatever. I'm going to try and pull up this post here. This is saying, just heard about Epstein. Based on what we have discovered here, who was involved here in Mexico, we don't believe it was a suicide. When you have 5 minutes, you need to listen to what we have as evidence. So these are, like I said, the prison guard came out and said that Epstein didn't kill himself. Now in his own emails, we had 4 armed attacks against us. My partner has shot and killed 2, wounded 5 American agents, along with 4 other American agents following us in the U.S. Embassy. Was also targeting and lost him. President of Mexico is keenly aware of our case against Marinko. This brings back up the guy who was able to get out of going to jail in Mexico. Apparently he's Epstein's partner. but they're saying that they don't think it was a suicide. So there's just a lot going on with this Epstein thing. And I don't want to claim to, know anything or claim that I don't know anything, because I'm being pretty forward in the things that I'm saying and the conclusions that I'm jumping to. But at the same time, we're in America. There's, a due process that American citizens are entitled to. So all this should be opened up, relitigated, rehashed out, or not even relitigated, just litigated in general for the first time, because we're all finding out about this. And and people need to be held to account. I got one more thing I'll show you guys. So this is saying Chuck Schumer's in the files having dinner with Epstein. Just everybody, literally everybody is involved with this guy, and it's disgusting because average people don't deal with like if you got a pamphlet in the mail saying that there was a sex offender at whatever 259 on your street and you're 225, okay, you're not going to walk down to 259 and go say, hey, how you doing, want to come over and meet the family, but apparently these people don't have the same standards that we do. So trying to find where it even says Chuck Schumer's name. Oh, I have dinner with Schumer tonight, sent from iPhone. So he's saying that he had dinner with Schumer tonight. He's talking to Jess Staley. I'm not sure who that was. And then it's also funny, all of his emails are followed with this long disclaimer saying this email is intended for the person who or entity to which it is addressed and may contain confidential or privileged material. Any review, retransmission, dissemination, or other use of or taking of any action in reliance upon the information in this email by persons or entities other than the intended recipient is prohibited and may be unlawful. Why would it be unlawful? How does he have privileged material? How does he have confidential or privileged material? And why would it be unlawful to disclose, if I send someone an email saying that I wear pink short shorts on the weekend, I sent it out. It's not like somebody couldn't go to the town square and tell people, hey, Will Donahue wears pink short shorts. I don't think that there's a confidentiality thing when you share things. But like we said, he's neither confirmed nor denied whether he's in the CIA. So he might have access to confidential information, or he might be breaking the law as an operation within one of his assignments that he's telling someone about, but they're not allowed to talk about because it relates to classified or privileged material. So, okay, so that was a little bit of a disorganized show. I'm trying to just get information out. Please be critical. The purpose of the show is just to show people the extent of what is in these emails, and I'm sure there's more within them that people are going to find. But the purpose of the show is to tell people to go out and look at these things and to do something about it if you have the means and if you're able to. And realistically, you know, I don't know if this show is going to have any effect, but you can have an effect. You could go out and do a podcast and show what you found, and you can override the algorithms that are trying to push maybe certain stories or maybe trying to hide certain stories. We as human intelligence can put this out there into the mainstream, and you don't see the media really covering these things to great extent or drawing conclusions or adding historical context like Pizzagate, WikiLeaks, uh, Seth Rich, Robert Maxwell. You don't see media going into deep dives on this. They're going to ride the surface level. They're going to give Bill Gates a primetime opportunity with a setup question. Mr. Gates, is it true that you didn't do anything wrong on Epstein Island? And he's like, well, yeah, it is true that I didn't do anything wrong. Thank you for asking. Instead of saying, hey, there's this email that you were planning pandemics. What's up with that? What does Jeffrey Epstein have to do with pandemics? And then he could say, I was just trying to get funding, from this world-class wealthy financier. I missed a whole section. I missed a whole big topic also of Epstein talking about how, regular people that aren't Jewish are goyim. Here, I'll pull it up because I don't want to say something and not show you. But what is the deeper parts of this massive conspiracy? I'm sure it's not just Epstein that by himself thought all this up and put it all together. Here, let me get this up here for you. This is the way the Jew make money. This is from Epstein to Robert Schenck. This is the way the Jew make money and made a fortune in the past 10 years, selling shorts the shipping futures. Let the goyim deal in the real world. From shipping news, the most dramatic growth has been in shipping futures, which allows shipping companies to lay off risks. The most popular features are forward freight agreements to deliver goods. So he's talking about, making money and the high level elites, but he's saying the goyim, which means cattle, and he's referring to everyone that's not Jewish. They do the real work. They could build stuff and work in the factories, and they could do the hard work because they're cattle. We can just have our little insider knowledge about shipping futures and then go out and make bets on what's going to happen. And guess what? It just so happens that I have a massive amount of influence in everything in the world. So if I bet on a shipping future and it's not going to pan out, I could just dangle a little blackmail video over the guy's head and say, oh, yeah, you want this to be released? And then, then it'll all work itself out. We can make a ton of money. So that's one article. Here's another one where he references goyim, and go into the files and look up. They have certain things. I don't know how people. I think people are downloading the entire zip file and then doing keyword searches for these things. But the word goyim appears several times throughout the Epstein files. Listen to this conversation that he's having with David Stern. When can I call you? Later today. How can I go to Milken conference without paying entrance fee? Plus, it's sold out. Last time, Markin took me. Just hang out in the lobby. That's for the goyim. So apparently, waiting in a hotel lobby is is beneath Jewish people. They're too good to wait in the lobby. This is behind closed doors. Now, if I was going around and I was saying, "Oh yeah, you want me to um, wait in the lobby," that's for the N word. That's for whatever. And I start going off on a racist tangent, I would be canceled or slandered all over the place. And, if it came out. So it's coming out that Epstein and all his buddies in these emails were racist to non Jewish people. And he's part of, I mean, you with all the anti-Semitism laws and everything that's coming out, where you can't criticize Israel and you can't criticize Zionists, and then to have that be happening, all these anti-Semitism laws, and then at the same time to have it come out that Larry Fink is the leader of the World Economic Forum now, and Epstein's secretly works for the Rothschilds, and they're in control of all these world banks, and they're racist behind closed doors about non-Jewish people, and Epstein's setting up Ehud Barak, who's a high-level politician in Israel, that after he gets out of political office, he's going to go work for Peter Thiel, another Jewish business owner, and we'll just give you a position. You could do an advisory role, and we'll just hook you up because of whatever, influence that you have or weight that your name carries. So this is not referring to the word goyim. This is referring to a different word, Shavartes. I don't know how to pronounce this, but right here, Shavartes. Okay. I saw. Jeffrey Epstein sent NBC News article. Man shoves bag of feces down woman's pants, Upper East Side, New York video. So then whoever the redacted name replies, I saw it, terrifying. I'm no longer walking anywhere. I will run. Epstein replies, it will help you run faster if you think Shavartes is behind you with a bag of poop. I agree. It will increase my fitness. Well, that word Shavartes or Shavartes or whatever they're saying here is a Yiddish word that is basically the Jewish version of the N-word. So they call white people goyim, they call black people whatever this word is. They think that they're above other people because they're Jewish. And in fact, I'll prove it here again with another example. This is Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro went to go hang out with Epstein. And, when he recounts his amazing time that he had with him and Jane Fonda, they say they had a 100% Jewish night, and the media elite, and once money is paid. So I don't know what they're talking about, but they're at the island. Super hard to read. They're at the island, and they're making some kind of business deal, and they're reflecting on their great night, saying that they had a 100% Jewish night. So I don't know how damning or how criminal any of this stuff really is. All that I'm trying to do is point out the patterns and the facts and what angles I think should be looked at. And that's pretty much what I was planning on doing tonight. So if you made it this far, thank you for watching. Please like and share the video. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Send this out to any people who might have some questions about things. And, I might just post the whole video list that I have, or all the links that I have here, to the description of the show, so that you guys could see some of the stuff that I missed because I didn't get to everything, and also some of the stuff that I talked about, and you could look it up yourself, and then take those files that you see on the post and go back to the DOJ website and double check that they're actually there, which all of them are, the ones that I showed at least. But double check that they're there, and then look around for maybe more context relating to those things. If something specifically disturbs you, like the 2 little kids who died from strangulation when they were hanging out with Epstein, then look into that and look into more about it, and we need like specific subjects to be broken down. Like the topic of Bill Gates alone probably has so many pieces of evidence. He'll say on interviews, "Oh yeah, well, I did go out to dinner with him more than I should have." That's not the half of the extent of his relationship to Jeffrey Epstein. And more will come out. I'm sure there's going to be bigger pictures to tie together. But as far as just trying to shed light on this and, expose it, what happens when you walk into a cockroach-infested house and you flick the lights on? They start to scatter, and they go into the dark corners and hide. That's what's happening right now with these politicians leaving, Jay-Z fleeing the country. All that is happening, and then there's going to be hangovers, people that are going to stay and think that they're not implicated, and little things will come out, and maybe more people will flee the country, or more people will resign from their positions. But that's not going to happen if we all just sit idly by and say, well, I think somebody's going to handle this. This is pretty disgusting. Okay, TikTok, where's the Justice Department? They're not doing anything about anything, even something provable like James Comey lying to Congress about releasing classified documents. They tried as hard as they could to wait for the statute of limitations to be up, and then 5 days before that happened, Trump appointed a new prosecutor to the case and got the indictment, and then a judge who's a Democrat Party activist just threw the case out because they said Lindsey Halligan wasn't properly appointed. But nobody talked about proper appointments when Jack Smith was appointed without ever giving an oath, So, and being buddies with Bill Barr, who's also all over the Epstein files. There's a huge network that I would liken to a mafia, and generally mafias are ethnically based. So it's not like racist to go and say, yeah, the Italian mafia is all Italian people, but not all Italian people are the Italian mafia. The average Italian isn't in the mafia, but the average mafia member, well, 100% of mafia members are all Italian in the Italian mafia. There's Japanese mafias. This, to me, looks like a Jewish mafia that literally runs the entire world. And that's pretty much my conclusion. So come up with your own conclusion. Thank you for watching, and please tune in for more information like this. Have a great night.